Vanam Vande Krishna Dasa Prabhum Tata Chanavatar Chaitanya-lila Vishtar Karino Dvo Nityananda Parabja Karunadena Bhushito Vyakta-chano Burachincho Vavande Vyasarupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakascha Sarvesham Gurunartino. So we're continuing with our morning reading of Sri Chaitanya-charitamrta, best part of the day. And we heard yesterday of this very beautiful, loving exchange between Mahāprabhu and his beloved mother Shachi Mata. Hearing of her love for him, his love for her. Very touching, very beautiful. As we were discussing after the class yesterday, it's seeing Mahaprabhu's love for his mother. It's very touching. On the one hand, because he's the Supreme Lord, right, and to see what deep love and affection he has, for his mother, it is very beautiful to see. And also that he's a sannyasi, right? We were making this point that he's following the etiquette, right? That a sannyasi is supposed to be removed, somewhat detached from family life. But at the same time, he's not cold-hearted, right? He's honoring the etiquette. He's moving away from his family hometown, but he's also continuing to show affection, love, and respect for his mother. So that is it is a very beautiful example, right? Sometimes when we get in a mood of fanaticism, right, then there's a tendency to cut everything off. Cut everything off. Maybe we detach, but we can maintain affection, right? We can maintain affection. I remember when most of us go through a fanatic stage, right? And I remember one time I was in a fanatic. When I started my fanatic phase, I was about 18, and then at one point I was planning to run away from home. Oh. And my family are devotees, right? But my mother was concerned about me not giving proper attention to my studies, and I wanted to go live in the temple, and she was concerned. You should stay at home, focus on your studies. And I was planning to just leave, And then I was actually getting ready to go. Like, I had my bag packed, and someone was going to pick me up and take me to the train. And then I received a letter from Sridhar Prabhu, and because I would keep some communication with him, and I told him what was happening, and he gave me very, very wonderful advice. He said, be kind to your mother. Your mother's a devotee. You should be kind to her. You don't need to be so extreme. Right now you have your whole life ahead of you. Respect your mother's feelings. And so I thought, okay, I'll listen to Sridhar. I didn't want to listen to my mother, but I'll listen to Sridhar. And so I changed my plan and I stayed. And actually, in the end, it was the best advice, because then soon after that, I went to visit India. And at that time, our Gurudev asked me to stay in India. And so it was like a natural transition, right? And my mother was happy about that, because it came directly from Gurudev, right? And because I wasn't locked down, like in the service in London, then it was easy for me to go to India, right? But if I was engaged in responsible service in the temple, then it would have been, Gurudev maybe wouldn't have asked me, right? Oh, you're doing service in London, and but he saw I'm available, and he invited me, and so it all worked out very well, So this is but the main point is that this is the mood that we can detach, but we also maintain respect, we maintain affection. There's one nice example in Mahaprabhu's instructions to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. But Raghunath Bhatta, Mahaprabhu tells him, because he wants to come, he lives in Varanasi and he wants to come and stay with Mahaprabhu in Puri. And Mahaprabhu gives him this instruction that, your parents are Vaishnavas, so you should take care of them. And he says, don't get married, like don't further, entangle yourself in family life, so don't get married, but take care of your parents while they're still here, right? And then after, that's your service, right? They're Vaishnavas, right? And then after his parents left the world, then Mahaprabhu told him, now you serve with Rupa and Sanatan, you stay with them and you serve with them, like that, But it's interesting, he didn't want him to just cut off all his connection with his family. He had this respect and sensitivity for his parents, especially because they're Vaishnavas. So there's this deep sensitivity in the hearts of the Vaishnavas and the Lord, of course. I also like very much the example in Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions in Premadama Deva Stotram that Mahaprabhu, where is it? Oh, it's when he's teaching Sanskrit, right? And then he becomes converted, right? He becomes a devotee. And then when he returns back to teaching Sanskrit, he's met with Ishvara Puri and Gaya, right? And then this mood of divine love became manifest in him. And when he returned back to Navadvip and tried to continue teaching Sanskrit, he couldn't continue in the conventional way. Everything he explained all ended in Krishna. Everything meant Krishna. All his grammatical explanations, they all equaled Krishna, right? And so his students were very disappointed, right? Their teacher had been this Nimai Pandit, right? Nimai Pandit, who was renowned throughout Bengal. And, he was traveling through East and West Bengal teaching Sanskrit. Like he had a following, he was such a brilliant teacher. And so these students, they felt so fortunate to have him as their teacher, and now it was all spoiled, right, as far as they were concerned. They were very disappointed. But what's interesting is that Srila Sridhar Maharaj specifically mentions in his verse, when he's describing this moment, is that Mahaprabhu felt compassion in his heart. Like he felt sad that he couldn't give them what they wanted, right? He didn't have this mood of arrogance, like, oh, you guys are in Maya, like you just want to learn mundane Sanskrit, like who cares? I'm doing the real thing. He didn't have that mood, but he felt this sensitivity, this compassion. Oh, like they have this desire and I can't fulfill that. I'm sorry. So it's very interesting to consider that, the magnanimous nature in the hearts of the Vaishnavas. There's never any room for a feeling of superiority or arrogance and all these things. Okay. So we'll continue here. Navadvipavasi Hari Jata Bhaktagam Sabade Saman Kori Bolila Vachan. Mahaprabhu offered respects to all the devotees present from Navadvip and other towns, speaking to them as follows. Tumi sab lok mor parama bandav, e bikamago mone deho tumi sab. My dear friends, you are all my intimate friends. Now I am begging a favor of you. Please give it to me. Kore jaya koro sada Krishna sankirtan, Krishna Nam, Krishna Kata, Krishna Haradan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested them all to return home and begin chanting the holy name congregationally. He also requested them to worship Krishna, chant his holy name, and discuss his holy pastimes.
Agnya deho nila chale, koriye gaman, maje maje asi tomai divo dadashan.
After thus instructing the devotees, the Lord asked their permission to go to Jagannath Puri. He assured them that at intervals he would come there and meet them again and again.
Eta bole sabakare isha dasiya, vidai korilo Prabhu saman koriya.
In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offering due respects to all the devotees and smiling very mildly, bade them farewell.
Sabavidai diya Prabhu, cholite koilo man, Haridas kandi kohe, karuna vachan.
After requesting all the devotees to return home, the Lord decided to go to Jagannath Puri. At that time, Haridas Thakur began to cry and speak some pathetic words. And here the word pathetic is in the original sense. Not in the modern, usage of pathetic is, something really, how do you say? Pathetic. Something that it's used in a derogatory sense, right? But actually, the original meaning is more like something very touching to the heart, something pulling upon the heart. The word here is karuna. Karuna, which normally is translated as mercy, karuna vachan. So perhaps like a tone that is invoking mercy, something like that, drawing mercy. Pathetic, that's the original meaning of pathetic. Like it's compelling your compassion, right? Arousing your sympathy.
Nila chole jabe tumi, mor kon gati, nila chole jaite mor nahiko shakati.
Haridas Thakur said, "You are going to Jagannath Puri, and that is all right. But what will be my destination? I am not able to go to Jagannath Puri." So, Haridas Thakur, right? We're told that he was born in a Muslim family. And this is at a time of tension between the Hindus and Muslims to varying degrees. India is under Muslim rule. And the Hindus generally, they would treat the Muslims as lower persons, right? And no doubt there's also resentment about, the Muslim rule, etc. But in any case, there was this segregation between Hindus and Muslims, and so Haridas, he's born in a Muslim family, and Jagannath Puri, it was one of the only places, there were only like one or two places in India which remained independent during the Muslim rule. This is the point. And Orissa was one of the state of Orissa was one of those areas. And so it maintained Hindu rule, right? And so therefore, Muslims may not feel so comfortable there, right? So at home there. And so Haridas is feeling that, that's not his place. He won't be welcome there, right? And especially there's also the situation of the Jagannath temple, which doesn't allow, even lower caste Hindus they don't allow, and what to speak of Muslims, right? So, Haridas, he doesn't want to, in his humility, he doesn't want to disturb anyone, right? That's also part of it.
Uyadam tomana pavodarashan, kemote rudiboe papishta jivan.
Because I am the lowest among men, I shall not be able to see you. How shall I maintain my sinful life?
Prabhu kohe koro tumi doinya samvaran, tomar doinyete mor vyako hoe man.
The Lord replied to Haridas Thakur, "Please check your humility. Please stop your humility.
Just seeing your humility very much agitates my mind. Tomalagi Jagannathe Koribo Nivedan, Tomaloya Jabo Ami Shri Purushottam. Mahaprabhu assured Haridas Thakur that he would place a petition before Lord Jagannath and that he would certainly take him there to Jagannath Puri. Toveto charja kohe vinoi kodiya, nindui chadiroho kripato kodiya. After that, Advaita Charja respectfully requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show him mercy by remaining another 2 or 4 days. Acharya Vakya Prabhu na kore langan, lohila dvaita grihe na koilo gaman. Mahaprabhu never violated the request of Advaita Charja. Therefore, he remained at his home and did not leave immediately for Jagannath Puri. Anandita hoilo Charja, Shachi Bhakta Sab, Pratidin Kore Acharya Mahamahotsav. Lord Chaitanya's decision was received very happily by Advaita Charja, Mother Shachi, and all the devotees. Advaita Charja celebrated every day with a great festival. Dine Krishna Katarasa Bhakta Gana Sange Rache Mahamahotsav Sankirtana Range. During the day, the devotees discussed subject matters concerning Krishna, and at nights they all slept. No. They did not. At night there was a great festival of congregational chanting at the house of Advaita Charya. There was no sleeping.
I like that. Sounds like a good program.
So in the day they're talking about Krishna, and in the night they're chanting Krishna's name. Bas. I can imagine Ananda Krishna signing up for that. Yeah. And Hari Gopal, some were enthusiastic, and Jai Gauranga Prabhu, are enthusiastic young devotees. And we hear elsewhere, right? Like in the case of Raghunath, for example, Raghunath Goswami, he would sleep only 2.5 hours a day, right? And the rest of the time he's engaged in reading, writing, meeting with the Vaishnavas, and so on. But they're living on they have some different kind of nerve. They don't depend on, they don't have the bodily needs, right, that we have. They're transcendental beings. They're living on the prapana jivanamrita, the nectar in the hearts of the surrendered souls. Anandita hoya Shachi koren randan. With great joy, Mother Shachi's randan, cooking. Suke bhojan kore Prabhu loya bhaktagan. Mother Shachi cooked with great pleasure, and Mahaprabhu, along with the devotees, accepted the prasadam with great pleasure. So she cooks with great joy, and they take with great joy. So chanting, dancing, taking prasadam, talking about Krishna. This is a real festival. Nothing else, nothing else. Acharya Shada Bhakti Griha Sampadane Sakal Safa Hoilo Prabhuradane. In this way, all the opulences of Advaita Charya, his faith, devotion, home, riches, and everything else, were successfully utilized in the worship of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Satchirananda Bhade Deki Putra Mukh Bhojankaraya Purna Koiloni Jasuk. As Mother Shachi constantly saw the face of her son and fed him, her own happiness increased and was indeed complete. Himata Dvaita Grihe Bhakta Gana Mile Vanchila Katagnin Mahakutuhole. In this way, at Advaita Charya's house, all the devotees met and passed some days together,
in a greatly festive mood. Adodim Prabhu kohe sab bhakta gane, nija nija grihe sobe koroho gamane. The next day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the devotees to return to their respective homes. Gore gya koro sobe Krishna sankirtan, punarapi ama sange hoibe milan. Mahaprabhu also asked them to execute the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord at their homes, and he assured them that they would be able to meet him again. Kabuva tomara koribe nilaji gaman, kabuva sibo ami korite gangasnan. Mahaprabhu told them, sometimes you will come to Jagannath Puri, and sometimes I shall come bathe in the Ganges. Nityananda Gosai, Pandit Jagadananda, Damodar Pandidar Data Mukunda, Chadi Janacharya Dilo Prabhu Sane, Janani Prabodha Kori Vandilo Charane. Advaita Acharya sent 4 persons, Nityananda Gosai, Jagadananda Pandit, Damodar Pandit, and Mukunda Datta, to accompany the Lord. After pacifying his mother, Shachimata, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu submitted prayers to her lotus feet. Tade pradakin kodi kodilo gaman, etta charja gode utilo krandan. When everything was arranged, Mahaprabhu circumambulated his mother and then started for Jagannath Puri. In the house of Advaita Acharya there arose tumultuous crying. Inabekka hoya Prabhu shigra cholila, kandita kandita charja paschat cholila. Mahaprabhu was unaffected. He left swiftly, and Advaita Acharya followed him, weeping. Oof. Wow. He's leaving behind a house full of broken hearts, tumultuous crying, weeping. And first he circumambulated his mother. This is a sign of respect, right? Circling, like we are circumambulating Tulasi Devi, right? So it is an expression of great, deep respect, you know. So he's circumambulating his mother, and then he's going. And everyone's crying. But he's going on. Kotador Gya Prabhu Kodi Joda Hatta, Acharya Prabodhi Koi Kichu Mishtabata. After he had followed Mahaprabhu for some distance, Advaita Acharya was petitioned by him with folded hands. The Lord spoke the following sweet words. Janani Prabodhi Koro Bhakta Samadhan, Tumi Vyagra Hoile Karo Nahoribe Pran. Mahaprabhu said, please pacify all the devotees and my mother. If you become agitated, no one will be able to continue to exist. I mean, it's quite a scene. I mean, because Advaita Acharya, he's such a dignified figure, right? Advaita Acharya is an older Vaishnava. He's the head of all the Vaishnavas, and also amongst the Brahmins, he has some senior position, right? So he's like a very sober, dignified presence, right, in that region, Nadia district. So just imagine that scene. He's going behind Mahaprabhu crying. What a scene. So then Mahaprabhu is saying, no, you at least, maintain your dignity, maintain your sobriety. If you lose it, then everybody's going to lose it. No one's going to. At least you keep it together. You be the pillar, right? It's quite striking. Saying this, Mahaprabhu embraced him and stopped him from following any further, then without anxiety proceeded to Jagannath Puri. Ganga tire tire Prabhu chare jan sate, Nilaji cholila Prabhu chatrabhoga pate.
The Lord, with the other 4 persons, went along the banks of the Ganges to the path of Chatrabhoga toward Nilaji, Jagannath Puri.
Chaitanya Mangale Prabhu Niladri Gaman, Istadivani Achandas Vrindavan.
In his book known as Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described the Lord's passage to Jagannath Puri.
Advaita Grihe Prabhu Vilashune Jejan, Achire Miloye Tade Krishna Premadan.
If one hears the activities of the Lord at the house of Advaita Acharya, he will certainly very soon attain the riches of love of Krishna.
Shri Rupa Raghunath Bhade Jarash Chaitanya-charitamrta Kohe Krishna Das.
So we've come to the end of chapter 3 of the Madhya-lila of Sri Chaitanya-charitamrta. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya-charitamrta, following in their footsteps. Wow, now the next chapter we'll hear about Madhavendra Puri. Very special. Wow. It's really wonderful. Jai Shri Chaitanya-charitamrta ki Jai, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai, Gurudev Jai. To be continued.